Hi, my name is Myrna Ruiz, and I'm doing Older Adults Perceptions of Smart Home Technologies, Implications for Research, Policy, and Market Innovations in Healthcare. The background is new demands of an aging society. So, aging is a social factor that is shaping the future of the nation. More older adults, aged 50 and older, are more than young adults. So, this is due because of the longer life and decreased fertility. United Nations has revised the world population prospects, so by 2045 humankind will have a historical first where the number of people over 60 will be greater than the amount of children under the age of 15. So convergence of aging, health, and smart home technology. So advanced technology is increasing alongside aging, so they're growing at the same time. New technologies are being improved and developed to improve health as part of daily living in the home, work, even in the car. So information communications technology, which I would call it ICT, is the richest area. Example is sensors, related algorithms, and attending call centers. Some pervasive computing technologies exist too. There's impact of older user perceptions of commercialization of technology. This is from invention to innovation. Problems with success. Sometimes there's a lack of commercial opportunity. And although ICT applications and related technologies have been available for many years, major corporations and governments have only recently given significant attention to the promise of technology to improve the lives of older adults. So that's where the invention to innovation has a little barrier. Consumer perceptions as a barrier to health technology adoption. So this is a quote from one of the people that asked, so if systems that are readily available and affordable are not translating into innovation in living, what are the prospects for the coming generation of inventions designed for older adults' health? This is due because usability is an important issue for the older adults. Adoption is also important because you need education and the efficacy about it too, and just personal feelings from the individual. Older adults sometimes have a really hard time adopting technology. Sometimes they feel that it's not for them. They don't really need it. It's just their personal feelings about it. The problem or the hypothesis, this is a quote from the article, is to better understand technology adoption by older adults so they inform and improve technology and service development, and to identify possible role of public policy and market innovation to promote the availability and diffusion of effective technologies. This is a two-dimensional technology adoption that was examined. So the first one was validate the findings of previous work and to discover any other user concerns influencing technology adoption. And the second dimension that they were looking at was to identify policy or market factors that go beyond the individual but have a critical impact on the speed of technology diffusion into the lives of older adults. So the methods. So there was a workshop and a focus group, and they were conducted with 30 aging service leaders and aging policy advocates. So there was a 5-hour period workshop in December 2005 when it was performed. So the first half of the session, it was a workshop. So it was a format where laboratory researchers presented a variety of commercially available and still underdeveloped technologies. Example, telemedicine systems, smart scales, health kiosk systems, personal advice systems to guide diet to enhance medical adherence. And after the workshop, the participants all got together in a conference room for a focus group to discuss their perceptions and possible concerns with the use of technologies in the lives of older adults. This was moderated by one of the authors. The other two took notes, summarized the exchange, and just observed the group. Methods. So these were some of the questions that help guide the discussion. So what technologies did you see or hear about today, or do you know about from other sources that you think would be helpful in addressing some of the most pressing problems of older adults in your state or region? And then they asked, in what ways would they be helpful, and which would you like to see come to market and be widely distributed first. The other question that they asked was, what kind of barriers or problems do you see with adopting and using some of these technologies, either legal, regulatory, social, and individual barrier? For example, are there laws or regulations in your state that would make adopting these technologies problematic? Do you foresee a great deal of resistance among older consumer in using that technology? Relating to privacy and security versus convenience, cost of technology, the individual and to state local government, individual resistance to using technology. Is this because of fear of a reluctant to learn new technologies, or do people feel like they are too removed from human and social contact with others? The participants, there were 30 aging service leaders and state and federal level policy advocates. It was conducted in northern, eastern United States and Washington, D.C. There were 17 women, 13 men, and the ages ranged from 40 to 75. There were at least 2 representatives from Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. And they wanted this to present a unique opportunity to provide the elite opinions of service providers and policy advocates. Results. So there were 4 themes that the researchers got. Technology design. So what they saw in technology design was functional, reliability, and usability. And ethical considerations, privacy, trust, and loss of dignity were major concerns for these adults. And user perception, safety versus independence, design for old or in stigma. And the role of market and policy, its access to technology, equity, and affordability, and absence of federal and state policy. Results from technology design, the functionality, its inadequate awareness in the aging community among the users and advocates of what technology exists and the capabilities might be. So they were unsure how these truly improve the person's lives. How do I know? This was a quote from one of the participants. How do I know that these things, medical devices, will actually work in my home as well as they work in the store? Reliability. Even if the device works, would it perform when it was much needed? And this was another quote from the participants. These gizmos are to be providing help to the most vulnerable and in need. How can we be sure that they will work in an emergency? And usability was another concern. The difficulty level, sometimes too difficult for older people to use, and were best suited for their children to help take care of them. Ethical considerations, they were passionately discussed and most frequently mentioned. The privacy versus trust, or privacy and trust, so developed to perform functions 24 hours, 24/7 home monitoring. Ethics should be used as a veto point to decide between what we can do and what we should do. That was a clue for one of the participants that wanted to see the difference between that. Who would have access to these data? It was a major concern from them. They wanted to know where their data went. Where does an individual's rights start and stop? If data is available to improve their health and healthcare overall, should it be used, and to what extent if it risks individual rights? So this is where HIPAA and other behavioral contracts and regulations came about, and it were explained to the participants. User perceptions, smart technologies in the home may be designed for the old and not young or more healthy older adults seeking to simply age in place. So this was a significant barrier to technology adoption. There was a major difference between older adults and what fragile older adult actually is. In conclusion and further research, advances in smart home technologies offer considerable power and promise to improve the health and wellness of older adults aging in place and help to caregivers support frail elderly. All participants embraced further development and commercialization of the technologies. Possible barrier identified: its usability, reliability, privacy, and affordability. Age is a major critical component. There needs to be further research to understand how ICT is impacted by the wide range of socioeconomic and cultural factors. And conclusion and further research reveals new area examination. How might institutional innovation occur to move invention in laboratory into the living rooms of older adults? Example, state or federal actions required to ensure equity as well as the existence of an honest broker. And further research, we just need a creative financing and technology enabled services might offer. Thank you.